It's a blueprint, a rubric, a guiding light to meet deadlines. It's formulaic to toward us these chords, so give us more of the norm. Come along, it's formulaic.
Hi, I'm Shelby.
And I'm a dumbass.
No, you're not.
That's the theme of the show, and this show is formulaic.
That is our show, and the theme of the show is James is a dumbass.
Well, no, that's what they always say on that 70s show, brother.
They do. Red is calling people dumbass left and right, especially his son.
Oh, yeah, and on that set or that 90s show when he says it for the first time, the crowd was like, "Ah!"
Did you watch that 90s show?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll check it out so I can remember what things were like in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, look at it through rose-colored glasses.
You know, that was before, the 90s were before a lot of my trauma, so, you know.
I wish I could say the same.
We're talking about that 70s show. Basically, this show is on from like 98 to like, what, 2006 or something?
Something like that, correct.
So that's like that time I was 8 to 16. Like, that's a very formative time in my life, you know? And I remember this show as just always being on. And when I rewatched some episodes for this, I was like, I've seen all these. Yeah. I watched like a whole bunch from season 1, a whole bunch from season 2, and I did not have time to watch any more seasons. But I had seen all of them. I was like, I've seen all these and I remember all of these.
Through a recent rewatch of this show, I realized I've seen every episode minus the Halloween and Christmas ones because those ones wouldn't be in normal syndication unless it was around those holidays.
Right. So you've had eyes on every episode.
Yep, uh-huh.
Each episode has the slime of your vitreous, what is it called? Fluid. Vitriol? No.
It's a viscous fluid? I don't know.
Yeah, what's the eye stuff called?
Eye?
Tell the listeners to write in.
Yeah, okay, listeners, write in. Why you could have done that.
No,
they
won't listen to me. So I never, when I was watching this, it was just always on when I was a kid and teen. I didn't really notice the formula to it, but when I went back and watched it, there's a lot of stuff that's really just the same over and over again. It's time passes throughout the entire show, but only like 3 years, and it could be like, anything.
Yeah, which is weird how they started. They're like, let's do 77. That's where we're going to kick it off. And then it's like, well, you're not giving yourself a lot of breathing room.
Right. Where are you going to go from there? You can only that's 3 years, right? So 77, 78, 79 times 365 days a year. That's only if each episode takes place over one day. And you times that by 3, what? You're maxing out about like 1,000 episodes?
Yeah, and then you get into conundrums of, okay, we've had multiple holidays. We can't, how are we doing this? But it's like, hey, we're going to pick up right from where we left off the previous season. So there's technically 0 days passing by during that.
Right. So they got a system going.
I would have started at 71.
Right. But then they wouldn't be you want to follow these teens.
Yeah.
Who grew up in the 70s.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, then start with 75.
Anyway, you got the formula? James, you got the goods?
Yeah, it's the beginning, middle, and end. It's what we did for Friends, with
cool.
A couple caveats.
Well, before we get into that, I guess, do you have a health update?
Oh, well, normally I do that on the table reads, but yes, the health update is I did some errands. I knew the air quality wasn't the best, but I was like, nah, it'll be real quick. But the fucking mail, and then, oh man, the post office near me. They are wonderful employees until they have to do anything that requires them to even take one step away from the chair they sit in. Because then they're like teens. They're like, ugh. There was waiting for someone to look at it for a package in the back. There were 2 employees. Someone went to the back to find a package that they never found. But this took 7 minutes for them to go just to never find it. And when they came up, they asked the other person, hey, how come you weren't helping people out? And she says, oh, no one assigned me a drawer. And I remember that bullshit from working at Burger King. And I just rage inside of me. I'm like, this is the employee no one likes. Immediately, I knew that just by them saying that. And then this person had the nerve to come to me after I say like, hey, I just need these packages scanned in because I'm delivering stuff for Nicole. And she's like, oh, you can do that at a machine out there. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I need the receipt. Well, you can get the receipt. I don't want that. Scan them in, dude.
Just do it.
Yes, I was not being like, I was being very polite. This is like after the fact. But then there's a horror movie fest going on, and I should have just bought tickets online. I go to the place, I go to Lori's Planets and Sound to get the tickets, and they say, oh yeah, that'll be $60 cash only. And I'm like, no. So I have to go all around trying to find an ATM because there's a bank nearby, but the last time I used their ATM, my credit card information got stolen. And you think like, oh, well, that could have happened anywhere. Well, if I hadn't passed by it the next week to see them dismantling the ATM machine. So I inhaled a bunch of bad air, and I was just wrecked the past few days.
Well, that sounds like quite an adventure you had.
Should have just worn a mask.
Should have just worn a mask. I don't know. How were you supposed to know? It could have been fine. How were you to know any of that would happen? I
need to just be cautious. Stay inside all the time.
That's what I do, and I'm miserable.
Yeah, yesterday I was just really wanting to die because I'm like the monotony of every single day. I wake up, I work out, I make the cat's food, I make Nicole's food, I make my food. I try to get Nicole to wake up because I'm starving because I did a bunch of working out and don't eat a lot. Please wake up, Nicole. Everything's already made. And then just the same thing day in and day out, just treading water because no one's on the Patreon. Not enough people are listening to the music. Not enough people are asking for my edits. I can't get a job anywhere. People, the monotony, it's like the 70s during that recession, but then the 80s come, guys.
It's almost like your life right now is so formulaic.
It is. It's just front to back.
Yeah, front to back, formulaic. You're in the muddle. It's okay, James. You're gonna get out.
I hope I get canceled, i.e., bullet to the brain.
I hope I get canceled from life by dying by myself.
If this season doesn't complete, that means bada bing, happiness, finally.
Yeah, exactly.
I
don't know what we're talking about anymore.
No, I'm saying I want to die. This is why I'm like, I don't think Shelby knows what's going on because it's odd.
I do. No, I get it. But we're talking about we're being fun. Yes, we all want to die, James.
No, not my dad and stepmom. They're like, why are you unhappy? I'm like, because life sucks. You knew me.
This isn't the fucking 70s or the 80s or the 90s or the aughts or the teens.
R2, please use this in your stand-up. Say like, I recently turned 30 and I think I've matured, I no longer want to die. I'm no longer suicidal because of depression. It's because of nihilism.
Yeah, that's good. Now it's because I just understand what life is about.
And hey, it's burning, but we don't have time.
But for real, if you're struggling with suicidal ideation, please reach out to your friends. Even if reaching out to your friends involves joking darkly about shooting yourself in the head.
No, I didn't say shooting myself. I just this is dark. You want to know what? I fantasize someone shoots me.
So you catch a stray bullet.
And then, I'd love to catch Stray Bullet. I believe that's the nickname of Shaggy 2 Dope from Psychopathic Riders. Oh, I'd love to catch him all night.
And that's what we do here on Formulaic. We're going to have a silly episode, James.
Fingers crossed. Okay, R2... It's the beginning, the muddle, and the end. Did you have anything to add before I add anything?
Well, I was going to say I looked up a bunch of stuff that happened in the 70s, but it was very difficult to Google because it's all just like lists of important events from the 70s. And I'm like, the people who wrote the show probably already looked at these lists.
Oh, I got some. I already did that. I have 3 plot lines we can do, but quickly, you revealed one of the formulaic parts. It's, hey, the beginning, muddle, and end. Well, what plot lines do we do? What happened this day in the 70s? All right, that's what the thing will revolve around. How will our characters deal with that? But we also get within the middle, during the middle of the muddle, I should say, we have them convene for a round table discussion, generally after smoking that marijuana, baby.
Oh, yeah. They're token. Big time. They're big time token.
And
they're smoking and token.
They're pulling tubes, brother.
I was gonna say pulling, yeah. They're ripping cotton.
Getting cotton mouth.
Absolutely.
They're so stoned, they're laughing and looking at their hand saying, I got a big hand. That doesn't happen unless you're on shrooms.
There was an episode where the parents got stoned, and I'm like, this isn't what stoned people act like.
No. They're watching RoboCop saying, this shit's dope.
Exactly. All right. So what else is there? That's what we talked about in the muddle.
Oh, it's just them, and they are discussing how they are going to be, or how they are currently trying to solve their problem.
And then at the end, are there any special add-ons, or it's just they either solve it or they don't?
They seem to usually solve it. There aren't, like, loose ends not tied.
Yeah. I think they usually solve it sometimes in an unexpected way.
Yeah, and in this show, 2 of the plot lines always tie back into each other, which I very much enjoy.
Yeah, well, that's good writing, I guess.
It's so good. I wish I knew what podcast it was where Will Forte was discussing his time writing for this show. I think it was an old Scarborough country. I could be wrong, but man, they were a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I bet.
Would you like to know what I brought to the table?
I hope it's not any of the racism from the show.
Fez, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Okay. I looked, hey, what movies came out in 1977? So
Star Wars.
They already did that.
Yeah, I figured they would have already done it.
And I thought, they could be doing this to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but they already did that. It was one of the Halloween episodes. So the gang sees Eraserhead. They walk out all confused. Eric and Jackie, though, they are most pissed of all, and they spend the entire episode trying to get their money back from the theater. Both have different reasons. Eric's could be, well, this is no Star Wars. That's the high caliber of film I want now. Mm-hmm. Whereas Jackie's like, this is just icky. Why did I pay to see this?
In heaven, everything is fine? What does that even mean?
Okay, so they finished Eraserhead. I, on my couch, walked out of Eraserhead. That shit sucks. I don't understand David Lynch. I
wasn't a big fan of Eraserhead. I didn't get it, but I love David Lynch in general. Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite movies.
I'll check that. I guess, no, James, you always say, all right, I'll check it out.
But James, there are lesbians.
Okay, I can watch so much stuff with lesbians in it.
But this one, I told you, there's also there's some scary stuff, and a cowboy.
Well, I can watch The Traitors and get so many lesbians, and then maybe a cowboy in the United States version, and then what was the other thing? Scary stuff? Yeah, people are being murdered.
I guess I won't convince you to watch this. I'm not motivated enough.
All right.
Anyway, I'll be able to make some Eraserhead references in the script, is what I'm saying.
Then Kelso convinces Red to work together yet again to create a better Pong, this time on an Apple II. But Kelso, thinking Red would be able to front the money for an Apple II, realizes, oh shoot, Red, you can't? All right, I will try to find money because it was like $1,700 back in the day.
Jeez.
So he tries different get-rich-quick schemes, only to end up with him using he goes to see Jackie, and he's on his, last leg, as Jackie is, saying, oh, I got my money back from the theater, and they buy a lottery ticket. It ends up being, a big, maybe $2,000, and pretty much Red, Kelso, and Jackie are like, you want to know what, let's just split this money together and call it a day. We don't need to build a better Pong. And then, they do this after learning the Atari 2600 will be releasing soon. And then I was thinking Hyde and Fez, but let's just take Hyde out of the equation altogether. I think Fez wants to try and pick up women after Elvis dies. So, because all these moms will be crying and say, oh, I loved him. And Donna's just tagging along to see him fail at these different various places around Point Place.
Okay, and we can say Fez or Hyde is just, in prison.
Yeah.
He's just in prison.
He's with Xenu.
He's away. Yeah, he's away. So that's the whole episode. That you got all plots right there.
Yeah.
So we did it. We're done with the podcast.
No, we're not. We need to start writing.
Shortest podcast of all time.
Exterior day, outside movie theater. The gang walks out. Marquis says, special one-night showing Eraserhead. Okay.
They have just looks of utter confusion, disgust, discomfort on their faces. Some of them are starting to look angry. Maybe especially Eric and Jackie. They're and then Kelso and Donna are just kind of huh?
I think everyone will say why they are displeased, and it gets down to Kelso, and he says, they're like, oh yeah, well, you seem really angry about the movie. And he's like, what? No. They didn't put enough butter on my popcorn. Something like that. He's completely oblivious to the entire thing they just watched.
Or he's doing something weird with his face. They're like, what about you? He's like, huh? I'm just trying to get popcorn out of my teeth.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So, so maybe Jackie will be like, what was that? And Donna will be like, I don't know, but I didn't like how it made me feel, or something like that. And then Eric will say something angry, or we'll switch around. Eric will be mad. What was that? Donna is like, I don't know, it made me feel weird. And Jackie was like, it was icky.
And then Fez should say, I don't know, I kind of liked how they ate that little chicken.
And he does a little bleh, bleh.
Oh yeah, or maybe he's just like, it made me hungry for KFC.
And people are like, ugh. And then Donna's like, what was your problem with the movie? And he's like, huh? I was just trying to get popcorn out of my teeth. And then there's a laugh. Ha 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 ha. And then Eric will be like, we can immediately introduce the plot of Eric being like,
oh yeah,
I'm mad about this,
He's like, I think I'm going to get my money back. I've never done this before. I respect film, but Jaws this is not. And then he goes up to the ticket attendant and Jackie's like, yeah, I'm going to get my money back too. And they're like, why do you need your money back? You're rich. And she's like, yeah, that's how you stay rich.
And yeah, that's good. So this is when she's rich, because doesn't she become not rich later?
But that's like season 4.
Who cares? We're not writing season 4. Oh, I think maybe they should go back to Eric's first, and then that's when they're trying to get their money back, or they want to get their money back, or they're just mad about it. And Donna's like, come on, let's go. They go home, and that's when, they're going to leave Kelso there when Eric and Jackie go to get their money back, right? So that's why Kelso is at Eric's house.
Okay. Oh,
conveniently talking to Red.
A really good thing would be, well, Jackie and Eric are angry. They're saying, hey, we need to get our money back. Let's go back to the theater and demand a refund. They leave, and you see Kitty crying, and they're like, what's wrong, Mrs. Foreman? She says, Elvis the King died.
Okay, perfect.
And then Fez doesn't have any idea of this, and maybe Eric's sister is like going to be a lot of horny women around town. And Fez is like, huh? And we're explained like why they would be horny.
Yeah, she's going to be like looking for someone to comfort them. And maybe take the new place as their object of desire from all of these years, because Elvis is dead now.
And then Fez is like, Kelso? And Kelso's nowhere to be seen. And then he's like, oh, I need to capitalize on this. And they're like, Hyde? And they're like, we don't know where Hyde is. Who knows? And then, or I guess, where's a funny place Hyde could be, this dirtbag?
Yeah, so that's why I was like, so I'm thinking Fez will be talking to Kitty, right? And he'll be like, where's Kelso? And she'll be like, oh, I don't know. I suppose he's around somewhere. And then he'll be like, where's Hyde? Oh, Hyde. And she could just like laugh and trail off and not answer it.
Okay, hell yeah.
And just have like a really long pause there. I think that would be funny.
And then the crowd's like, yeah, fuck that dude.
Yeah, that's good. And the applause gets louder and louder
as she's just like hamming it up of like, who knows? So
exactly.
Then he looks at Donna, is like, hey, you need to help me. I need a wingman to go around everywhere to try and pick up chicks. And Donna's like, you want to know what? At first is apprehensive, but it's like, wait, no, this is going to be a good story to tell later.
Right. I got to see this. Yeah.
They leave, Kitty leaves, and then we see so it's an empty room, and then Kelso comes out. He's like, hey guys, I got that kernel out of my teeth, and no one's to be seen but Red sitting at the kitchen table. And he's like, hey, Red. And Red just like looks and then puts up the paper, and that's when we see an advertisement for the Apple II with computing power that can create video games.
Perfect. And then Kelso rips it out of Red's hands and is like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, look, there's the Apple II.
Rips it out, and then Red goes, hey, dumbass, the funnies are over here. And he's like, no, not the funnies. This, Red. We can do what we always wanted to do, create or build a better Pong. And then he says, you see the price tag on that, right? He's Chandler Bing now, I guess.
Yeah, you bingified him. You got him big binged.
Oh,
Big Bing theory.
Yes, dude. He's like, oh, don't worry, we can do this. And he's like, yeah, look at how expensive it is. Last I checked, all you were good for is
$20 if you sell your van or something.
Oh yeah, that or just say like, I know you don't have a job, you just stopped having to wear a helmet to walk.
That's good. He's so mean.
Uh-huh.
Also, maybe can Red reference the previous time that they tried to build a, like, I haven't seen that episode, or I don't remember it. So, like, how would he call back to that?
Well, Kelso goes, hey, I wore that. I only had to wear that helmet while on the sidewalk, something like that.
It was only when I was unsupervised.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And then Red goes, we already built the better Pong, and we built the smaller paddles, we had our fun, and then it just got boring again. And then Red stands up and says, so unless you got a better idea than that, I'm gonna leave. And when I come back, you better not be here. And as he's walking out, Kelso's like thinking pensively, like a bunch of like numbers are coming into his head. And then just like behind them, you know how there's they have those beautiful kitchen lights that are cheese graters.
Yes.
One flickers hotter and then gets real dim. And then he goes, 2 balls. And then Red, before he goes into the living room, looks back and he says, 2 balls? And he says,
that's really good. People stop and like they have to stop because the audience is applauding.
He goes, something like, you get the money and we'll build the better Pong. Something along those lines.
I think Kelso, encouraged by or like inspired by Jackie's whole journey to get her money back. Maybe he's like, oh, she cares about money. I got to get my money up. Like, I need to start putting stuff away. You know, maybe she commented on the movie about how, you know, the guy was going to get a job or whatever. I don't know, to pay for the baby or whatever. And maybe it fucks with Kelso's head a little bit. And that's why he's like, this time I'm not doing it to make the game.
Oh, yeah.
It's to make money. We're going to sell the game. We're going to sell the better Pong to go on this Apple II or whatever. And then, yeah, like you said, they end up not doing that. But I think that's a good inspiration for him and also ties the storylines together.
And I think we could have it, Kelso says 2 balls. And this isn't just about making it better for us. With this computer, we could make Pong games for people to buy, and then we'll be better. You just lost your job or currently are losing your job or maybe are unemployed. I don't know.
One of those.
And so he's like, we can do this. And he's like, yeah, but I don't have the money, you dumbass. You need to get it yourself. And then you're the brains of this operations, unfortunately, and I'll be the person to actually do it.
Right. So he's the money, or he's like, I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll tell you what. If you get the money together, I'll work on this with you, and we can split it, and all your little dreams can come true, or whatever. And he doesn't think that Kelso's actually going to get this money together. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't. But then I think at the end, Red should still be like, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you for getting a winning lottery ticket.
Right. I'm proud of you. You had no hand in the situation and just lucked out, but I'm proud of you anyway.
Or it should just be like, hey, Kelso, I'm proud of you. And he goes, oh, thanks, Mr. Foreman. But for what? And he looks at the money and looks at Kelso just needing the win. And he goes, for not being a dumbass, and then leaves.
That's sweet. Aww. And then everyone goes, aww, in the audience. The audience.
Oh,
James.
dang. Or instead of saying for not being a dumbass, he goes, whatever, and then walks out. And it should be like he looks at Eric and he says, your dad's proud of me and not of you. And he's like, that was your takeaway from this?
I think, so this will be later, but I think maybe Kelso is worried coming back to him because it's like, it won't be enough money to, like, if they split it 3 ways, it won't be enough money for any one of them to, like, buy the computer. But he decides to, like, just split the money 3 ways, and he has to, like, break it to Red. And Kelso's an idiot, so he thinks Red's really excited about this computer, and he breaks it to Red.
Oh, that's good.
I think we're just going to split the money and keep it. And Red is actually happy about this outcome.
Yeah, because back then, if it's $2,000, that's what? Divided by 3? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 600 and something.
Yeah, that's probably a house payment for 2 months.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And you'd be fine with it. Yeah.
Gimme.
And then Red takes the money anyway. He's like, I want to offer you. Or maybe it's like Jackie takes half. She's like, no, half of this is mine. And so Kelso has to split his last half with Red. And so Red still gets $500. Awesome. Okay,
so we have that fleshed out.
so then from here, I guess we're cutting to Eric and Jackie. It's time for them.
They walk up, and what kind of ticket taker do we want at the box office? Do we want them to be just someone who doesn't care? Do we want someone to be like, I care about my job so much to the annoying points that I'll go to the edge of the world to not refund something? How do we want this character to be?
I think it's the general kind of thing you'll see in a show. What I'm picturing is someone who has a very kind of flat board affect of like, yeah, whatever, do this, blah, blah, blah. But what they're telling them to do is like, you have to fill out this request, you have to do this, you have to return this. So every time they come back to the window, they have to like fill out a different form or get something signed by someone else.
Okay.
And so the person is like, they do very much make sure Jackie and Eric are following all of these rules, but I wouldn't say they like care about it.
Okay.
They're more like a robot.
Because what I was thinking was like, well, you watched the entire movie, you can't get your money back.
Right. But I imagine it as like a young woman who's just like chewing gum and like maybe reading a book or something the whole time. Like she doesn't ever look up at them.
Reading the Bible.
The Bible! James, you're always trying to sneak the Bible in there.
And just like or I don't know if Post-it notes were invented yet. I was going to say like she has a bunch of like little tags that it's like, ooh, this is a favorite passage.
Yeah, maybe she like folded the pages or something. Whatever they did in the 70s.
Maybe put a lighter to it, just the tip a little bit so it gets fringed.
It's a book that may or may not be the Bible.
No, it's definitely the Bible. It says the Holy Bible on the front and the back.
And the back, no! She has the cover down. You can't see what it is.
It's because it's actually 2 Holy Bibles. One is in Japanese and one is in English. So no matter what side you open, you can be reading it okay.
That's beautiful when you think about it.
Yeah, why would anyone need this? I don't know.
I mean, if you read English and Japanese.
Well, that's so much paper to be waste. Okay, you want to know what? This is actually what it should be, and that is brought up. They're like, why do you need that? And she's like, it's not that I needed it. It was just the closest Bible I could grab.
Or maybe she's like, with Jackie and Eric and their persistence, she's like, isn't this a waste of your time for, $5 or whatever, however much a movie was in the 70s? And they're like, isn't that book a waste of space or something? I don't know. Is it a waste of time? What about a waste of paper? Your book must have taken a forest to make.
What is that? It's the Bible in English and Japanese. Who is that for? I don't know. Bilingual people, open your mind.
Open your mind. How dare you tell me my mind's not open? I saw Eraserhead.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's have them. They walk up and they say, excuse me, miss, you might remember us. And she looks up and says, nope. Goes back to reading. And they're like, no. We just don't want you to just look at us. What do you want? Do you need tickets to see Eraserhead? Actually, the opposite of that. We would like a refund. Oh, were you unable to make it to your showing? No, we were there. Oh, did you walk out? No, we stayed the entire time. Oh, then I can't help you. And then goes back to reading.
I think maybe we should have a scene of Eric and Jackie walking up, and maybe Eric's like, we need a game plan. Mm-hmm. What are we going to say to them? And Jackie's like, we're just going to tell them we didn't like the movie. We want our money back. And Eric's like, no, they're not going to just give our money back that easily. We got to get inside their heads. We got to figure out, what they want us to say to them. And then I think while they're confronting this person, like Eric's trying not to really answer those questions. And Jackie's like, yeah, we saw the movie.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So I'll be the ticket taker and you be both of them.
Okay. Excuse me, you might remember us. We were in here earlier.
No. Goes back to reading.
Hey, look at us, you tramp. And Eric, it calms her down.
She pulls down the book, looks at the title of the book, then looks at what she's dressed as, and then says,
she's dressed
what?
as a nun.
Oh, well, she's dressed as a ticket, like an usher, reading the Bible. How is she a tramp?
Right. And Eric's like, shh. Yeah, so Eric is just calmly like, we were hoping to get a refund for our tickets. Is that something you can help us out with?
Oh, yeah. Were you unable to see your showing?
Oh, we saw it. Jackie's angry. Oh, we saw it.
Did the film break?
No, the film it was broken in its morals.
I'm sorry, I don't watch the movies. Could you be more specific?
What she's trying to say is that the movie didn't align with our sensibilities, and we'd like a refund due to the inferior quality of the picture.
So it offended you, so you walked out?
Oh, we stayed for the whole horrible thing, says Jackie.
Oh, yeah, then I can't help you.
But we need to get a refund. This movie was horrible. I wish I never saw it.
Then I'll need you to fill out these forms.
Okay, filling out forms. That's a start. That's right. Jackie's gonna say something snotty there.
Oh, she should say, that's right, Eric, you will fill out those forms.
Yes, good, that's good. He's gonna fill out those forms and bring them right back. You'll see.
And then plops down for a form to get a refund, like a pretty thick thing. And then Eric goes, oh, what do I fill this out with? And the ticket taker goes, you don't bring a pen or pencil with you everywhere? And he goes, no. And she goes, and then hands him just like the tiniest pencil that is like, it's to the eraser head, and then hands it to him. And he's like, oh no.
It's like why do I keep thinking chode? It's a chode pencil, but very small.
Yeah.
Very small chode pencil.
Yeah. No, you don't need to say a very small chode. Like, that's by definition.
I thought a chode could be any size as long as the length matched the width.
Yeah, but you would still say, like, for even a pencil, it wouldn't be like, you wouldn't call, like, this, it'd still be a small pencil if it's the circumference of a dinner plate.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right.
Because, like, how would you sharpen that?
Yeah, you would still call it small in some ways.
It's a chode.
But large in others. It's still a chode, not a chud. Where were we? Yeah. Okay, Eric, we break. Eric has to fill out these forms, and we're going to go cut back over to, what did we say earlier about Eric watching Eraserhead? Because I think maybe Eric will decide not to get his money back, because he, like, stands up, what we said earlier, and is like, because I watched Eraserhead or whatever. Oh, I'm open-minded because I watched Eraserhead. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we cut over to, I guess, Donna and Fez, maybe? They're out. They're looking for, where do you pick up women in the 70s?
Well, they do go to the Piggly Wiggly in a future episode, but I think they should start out at the hub. And it's pretty much just like, they walk in, and it's just teens. None of them give a shit about Elvis. And maybe they ask one of them, they're like, well, wait, where's your mom at? And they're like, huh? well, she's like shopping at the Piggly Wiggly, and they're like, oh, that's where we need to go. And they're like, yeah, my mom was upset about that. Maybe that's what it is. All the women keep saying, well, yeah, my mom's upset. I'm not. Who gives a shit about Elvis? So then they go to the Piggly Wiggly.
Okay, so you said they're at some kind of diner or club or...
The Hub.
Why am I thinking of the Hub? What's the Hub?
That's the like restaurant that they're always hanging out at, playing pinball. Then they end up getting an asteroid machine.
Oh, right. Okay, so we can just kind of flash through Fez like horribly hitting on a few different women.
Because they do that in this.
Yeah, who say, they also do those little like when they're changing from scene to scene, they're like, jumping in the air, their little flowers like floating around and stuff. But yeah, so it'll be flash through Fez hitting on a series of women in like really disgusting ways. I don't know.
I have some ideas. So they walk into the Hub. Maybe Donna says, maybe I can wingman you to warm them up. And he says, no. I know how to do this, Donna. Just watch. And then we get a series of 3. We don't see their reactions until the end. I think the first one should be he tries his darndest to do an Elvis impression, and he says, hey, honey, the king is in the building. And then it flashes, or maybe you hear a smack and it flashes. And then what's another Elvis? He's like, I'd like to take you to Graceland, a slap. And then the third one is like, you see his face all like red and bruised. And he's just like trying his hardest to do like a cool pelvis move. And then you hear another third. And then you see them outside the Hub. And Donna says, and Elvis has left the building.
That's good. So it's like quick succession. And then maybe when they're standing out there after his failure, some women come out and they're saying something like, oh yeah, my mom won't stop crying ever since Elvis died. She's trying to make herself feel better by going shopping at the Piggly Wiggly.
Or we could do something even better. We see a woman walk past crying, and she is carrying bags that are branded Piggly Wiggly. And then they look in the direction, they see the Piggly Wiggly, and they say, I want to go to there. Liz Lemon style.
They say it Liz Lemon style. And then Liz Lemon pops in. She works at the Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
She's sampling all of the different cheeses. That's what she'd be doing.
I think... So we see the woman walk past, they see the Piggly Wiggly, and his bruised face lights up, and Donna says, we don't need to keep doing this. I got what I needed out of this. And he says, oh, Donna, I'm down for anything when it comes to love and horniness. And then he walks out of frame, and Donna says, oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's great.
Or Donna says, I wish I had my camera with me.
She's like, yeah. She's like happily trailing along. Because I think at the beginning of this, she was probably like, I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we'll cut to Kelso and Red.
Yeah.
Or I guess just Kelso. Red's not there right now. Kelso trying to get a job.
Oh, yeah.
Or trying to get money. Or maybe he comes back to Red and is like, I didn't get, or like, did you get any money yet? And Kelso's like, no, I tried to get some kind of job. So that way we can actually have Red in there and we don't have to see Kelso off doing something else. We can have him reporting back to Red.
We should also have like Red or Kitty. Like Kitty comes in, and as it's being explained, Kitty should come in and is like, hey, Red, just so you know, there's some weirdo running around with a pitchfork to all our neighbors, asking if they can rake he can rake their yard. And Red looks at Kelso, and Kelso does like a no.
So Kelso comes in and like in the basement and like or whatever, and closes the door behind him and is like kind of like looking scared, like he was being chased. And then Kitty comes in, she slams the door, she locks it, and she's like, "Oh, Red, I just came from the neighbors. They said that there's a strange man running around with a pitchfork.
Demanding money for raking their leaves. It's
Right.
September."
Yeah, and so, and Red looks Red looks over at Kelso and is like,
Red's like, "We'll be fine. Just keep the doors locked." Kitty leaves, and then Red goes, "So I'm guessing you didn't get a job?" And he's like, "This used to work when I was a kid. I'd go around mowing lawns." And Red goes, "People gave you money out of pity.
Well, maybe he's like, I'd ring on their doorbells and I'd do the lawn raking dance." And he like does like this choreographed, he's like, you spin the rake and then you go, "Ha!" And he's like, "It worked so well when I was like, 8 or whatever."
That's good. And he's like, "Yeah, that's because people weren't doing it because you were doing a good job. They pitied you, or they did it out of charity."
Yeah, they felt bad for you dropping the rake so many times.
Adults will give any child with a helmet money.
Right. He's wearing a helmet.
That's
oh
a
my
good
God.
callback.
You never actually did any yard work. Okay, so Kelso's like, "I got this though. I just have to try a different approach." And he goes back out.
Well, I think he goes to exit, and Red says, "Maybe wait a few minutes for the heat to die down."
Okay, perfect.
Or for people to forget your face.
Yeah. So when are we going to have the weed smoking circle? Because I feel like they won't be all back in the same room until
you're
later.
right.
Unless they had it at first, and that's why during the smoking session is when Eric got so worked up about getting them
Yes.
stuff back. Okay, so we already did that. Let's say we already did that.
My only other idea was we flash later to Kelso talking to himself in the circle. Then Red, it then pans over and you see Red saying, "You need to get a job." We can do both.
Yeah, I was going to say that could work. Both will work, especially because the second one's just like a bit. Like, that's funny. Perfect. So that'll come. We'll do that one in a second. Because we leave it with Red telling Kelso to wait a few minutes. So Kelso kind of sits down on the couch. So maybe we switch back to Eric and Jackie. Eric is filling out this huge form. And he's like, "What specific morals did the movie offend? What is this? Like, this is so, this paperwork I have to fill out. It doesn't even have the movie theater's like logo on it."
Mm-hmm. Maybe he's like, "Hey, Jackie, can you help?" And she's like reading a magazine or something. And she says, "Huh?" And he's like, "Can you help me out with this?" And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I can do that. Eric, you can write." And he's like, "No, actually help." And she's like, "This helps me. This helps the football players at school."
Is she a cheerleader?
I think she is for some of the
sense.
seasons.
Yeah, she's like, this helps football players all the time. They couldn't win the games without us. Yeah, I think it'll be good for a good outcome for this storyline that like Eric doesn't get his money back, but Jackie does. Mm-hmm. And then she wins the lottery. That's so fucking funny.
It would be really good at the end after Kelso's like, "Oh, your dad's proud of me and not you." And Eric goes, "You wouldn't have the money if I didn't fill out the forms."
Yes, that's great. Okay, so Eric and Jackie are still filling out the forms. It's bad. They have that little exchange. Then we can quickly cut back to Donna and Fez. They're at the Piggly Wiggly. What's the outcome of this going to be? Is he going to pick up a woman or like?
I think like most cases when a little sub boy tries to interact with a woman, always expecting it to fail, and then they actually get turned on, or they actually get advances back from the woman. He just freezes up, and then Donna has to like go in and be like, I am so sorry about this. And as she's like dragging him away, he's just like doing the like jilted pelvic thrusts, like scared, like that's his, like he's maybe no, he doesn't freeze up, he just like tenses up and starts pelvic thrusting, and the woman's like, what is going on? And then maybe
Donna's like, he just got out into the world after a long stay in a institution. I don't know, she'll say something fucked up, and like
I think that we could do. She's like, the woman goes, what is going on with him? It doesn't matter. I'll bring you home. And then Donna's like, no. And then drags him away.
That's so funny.
The woman says the fucked up thing, not Donna.
That's fantastic. We turned it on you. Guess what, that 70s show? We're the captain now.
You got it.
I did it. That's our classic catchphrase.
We're the captain now.
We're the captain now. So that's happening in that scene. Then after Eric and Jackie do their thing, Eric's filling out the stuff. Then we cut to the weed circle with Kelso by himself and Red being like, get a job. Then after that, we'll go back to Fez and Donna. We'll have this whole scene where Fez is now hitting on women. He's like talking to Donna. He's like, there's so many crying women. It's like I'm bathing in them or something, you know? And he's like, I'm going to go talk to one. And Donna's like, all right, good luck. You know, can't wait to see where this goes. And either we finish out the scene and have him talk to a woman and she's like really into it and he freezes up, and then you have that and have Donna pull him away, or we could break there and before the climax of that, like go back to something else.
I think we should break from there, because then we're going to finish up Eric and Jackie. They're going to get their money back. Then Kelso comes along, and I think one of the last scenes when like they all convene, and like Donna's like, we had a day, and Fez might say something like, I believe I got my cherry popped, and Donna's like, no, he didn't. Do not. He blacked out. That's what happened.
Okay. So they go to the Piggly Wiggly, they see all the offerings, and they have a little exchange, and Fez is like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go shoot my shot, except he doesn't say that because they didn't say that in the 70s. And then we switch back to Eric, and he's plopping this whole huge pile down in front of the ticket taker, who takes it and like doesn't even look at it and is like, we can give you half price back for your tickets.
And he's like, what? Why? And then she goes, you only filled out one form. And he's like, excuse me? And then maybe like it's revealed that he put Jackie's name first, so that's why she gets the refund.
Yeah, so she's like, I have one full refund here for one Jackie, whatever her name is.
Burkhart.
And she like pushes the $2.50, or I don't know how much the movies were, over to Jackie, and Jackie's like, yay! And Eric's like, you're telling me I have to fill that all out again to get another refund? Why don't you just copy it? Or just, whatever. And she just kind of looks at him.
I think she goes, would you really want me to lie with this in my hands? And then gestures at the Bible. He's like, I guess not.
Fine. Okay, fine. She does that and calls attention once more to her Bible. And then she makes like a comment, however we said it before, about being open-minded. And he says, I'm open-minded. I saw a Eraserhead. And he's like, you know what? Guess I got something out of this. Forget it. And then Jackie's like, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket. Kelso, you go buy me a lottery ticket. Because Kelso comes up. He's like outside. Maybe he's outside the theater or something. And
I think he shows up once they get the money, and he's asking Jackie, he's like, I'm on my last end, whatever that phrase is.
At my wit's end.
And he says, I need something to get rich quick to to make Red proud. And she's like, well, I just got this. Maybe buy a lottery ticket. And he's like, yes. And then we cut to...
And Eric is like, you gave it away?
Yeah. For a lottery ticket? That's the chances. And then it cuts to Kelso saying, I got $2,000. Like he runs up to them outside and... Then Jackie says, oh, no, I believe I got $2,000. And he says, no, you gave this money to me. She's like, fine, the best I can do is 1,000 for me, 1,000 for you. And he's like, but Jackie, and then she just like looks at him and he says, all right, because that's generally their relationship.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe a few, like a very quick back and forth of like, but Jackie, Kelso, but Jackie, Kelso. Okay.
Yeah, they inflect it differently. And she makes it very clear that she will never have sex with him again.
Oh, hell yeah.
If he pushes this any further.
There are times when, because they wanted Jackie to look actually younger than them, so they got someone like a few years younger than the rest of the cast. When she is sitting down next to Donna in some of these scenes, she is the tiniest little lady.
Yeah. Well, Laura Prepon or whatever her name is very tall, right?
Yeah.
Like she's tall.
But still.
And what's her face who played
Mila Kunis?
Yeah, Mila Kunis was like 15 when the show started, right? Like she was so young. It's pretty funny. Okay, perfect. So they get that lottery ticket and they're like, I won. And they have that exchange. Then we cut back to Fez and Donna and have that moment that we described earlier with him totally freezing up in front of a lady, but the lady's still going to try to bring him home. And Donna kind of rescues him a little bit. And then
we convene in the not the backyard, the driveway, to Kelso saying, I don't know how I'm going to break this to Red. He was so excited to be making this game with me. And Eric says, hey, you want to know what? The shitty day I had aside, at least I'm going to see Red get angry at Kelso. Someone who isn't
so
me.
Funny.
And
James, you're so good.
Then it sets it up to be like, oh, wait. So they go in. They see him sitting down, and Kelso goes, Red, I have something to tell you. I think you're going to need to sit down. And he's like, I am. and maybe he goes, this isn't about you trying to rake more lawns, is it? And he's like, no. So and he's like pacing around. I know you were excited for us to get in the game again. And he's like, not really. And he's like, hush. Don't tell me to hush. Do you want my foot up your ass? And he's like, oh, I need to tell you this, Red. I couldn't get enough, but I was able to get us both $500. And just Red lights up. It's one of the very few moments that we see in the series Red showing genuine joy. And he's like, Kelso, how did you get this? And he said, I won the lottery. And he's like, well, you don't
I think he should catch himself and like be like, I see. And like be like, you didn't, so you failed in getting the computer. Or, you didn't get a job after all. But he's still taking it. And clearly Red is just happy to get $500, but wants to treat Kelso like shit. So is like making sure he doesn't know how excited he is to get a $500.
He's like, so here's the 500. I hope you aren't too mad. And I hope you're not too disappointed with me. And he goes, Kelso, I could never be disappointed with you because I truly don't think about you. But today, you made me proud. And he goes, oh, you did? And he's like, and maybe Red goes, you bring it up again, I will deny what I just said. And then Red leaves the room. And he says, shuck it, Foreman. And Eric goes, you wouldn't have even had the money if I didn't get Jackie her refund. Dad, Red. And then maybe that's how we see the first credit and then it would go to a tag. And maybe it's Kitty and Red in bed.
I would say it's Kitty and Red, yeah.
And
Perfect.
she says, it's been a crazy day. First that maniac with the pitchfork, and
And Elvis dying.
and then there was some pervert at the Piggly Wiggly trying to pick up women, or some pervert at the Piggly Wiggly trying to pick up young boys. And then what was the other storyline? Oh, the refund.
Well, maybe she's just those two, and maybe she was doing something earlier because she was crying about Elvis. Well, yeah, so it have to be her crying about Elvis because that was the only other thing she's involved in.
Yeah, and then maybe she says, and to top it all off, Elvis died. And Red goes, wait, Elvis died?
And then maybe he'll be like, Kitty, why don't I take you out tomorrow night on me? And I'll make you forget all about it. And she's like, oh, really, Red? Just to have a nice little sweet moment in there.
And what? Oh, I thought you were setting it up for this. He's like, I heard there's a movie playing down at the theater.
Yes. It's something a Eraserhead.
Yeah.
By a nice young fella named David Lynch.
There we go.
The end. We did it. Oh my God. James, I was so stressed out from work. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this. And once again, we did it.
I can barely breathe, and yesterday I wanted to kill myself. So it's crazy that we did it.
It is crazy that we did it. Yeah. Been thinking about that a lot. We're dabbing.
Yeah, I do it every day, dude.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow I gotta wake up, work out, and then record Body Melt with Lil Corey for the Patreon.
Speaking of Patreons and other podcasts, if you want to hear more of me, check me out on The Rom Complex and subscribe to that Patreon at patreon.com/The Rom Complex. Also, check me out on twitch.tv/R2Shelby2.
And you can maybe hear R2 say,
Hello?
yeah, dude. Nicole finally listened to that episode of The Rom Complex, and she loved it.
Yay!
We're talking about a thing that I did to Nicole, which she, in the recording of Mostly Speaking Sentai, upset. Then the next day I did it, and she's like, that's the funniest thing you've ever done. I'm like, I don't understand you. But what I do understand is Mostly Speaking Sentai, Hit It and Crit It, Sweaty Time Pro Wrestling, The Height of Horror, and all of these are free feed podcasts that you can find out more information about over at mlmpod.com. But in September, every other week, it's a 6-episode mini-series over at the Marshland Media podcast feed. I'm so excited. Jose and I, new podcast, 6 episodes, entitled Death to Squibs, a Trancers podcast. We're going through all 6 Trancers movies, but Jose just out of the blue was like, yeah, man, I'll come over, we'll watch it, I'll bring edibles. I was like, I don't podcast on while I'm stoned, but that's the hook of the show. We are both I'm very stoned. He is just living his life. It's so good. I love Trancers. It's a science fiction Charles Band franchise. So good. That starts September 14th, I believe. It's a good time. And September 15th, I got a new album coming out called The Modern Myth, wherever music is found. Check that out. And head over to patreon.com/MLM where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single Friday. But if you're a $10 patron, you got all of that weekly stuff. Included upon all of that is a monthly exclusive, usually in the form of straight to Patreon. We just put out our episode discussing a single episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. The episode is from season 7, episode 14, entitled Sub Rosa. It is the horniest thing I have ever seen, and Nicole and I are upset that all of Star Trek isn't this. Man, if I were by my lonesome, I would have been like, I'm not going to be able to get through this entire episode.
You got to stop. You got to take a horny break. You got to go take care of a few things.
I got to pause it real quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, like, I'll eventually get through it. But I don't need to
I know.
go.
I'm saying you pause it, you go masturbate, and then you come back, and then you watch the rest of it.
I masturbate to the episode. It's like redheads just like being like, oh, this ghost that wedded my grandmother or some shit. It's horny, guys. But $10 patrons also get shout-outs on every single free feed podcast, so let's begin with those, starting with Steve F., Eric Berry of Ranger Command Power Hour, Alex Z, The Waz, Orion, Defo, check him out, Jordan B., The Chaos Witch, my Bickle brother in common law, Joshua, Jakis, he's gonna be a best man next month, baby, Steve Barnes, A Sweet Child of Time, that's also another free feed podcast that you can join, and we're starting, I think when this is released, we will have season 2 of Wheel of Time has begun, and we are discussing it, fuckers, over on that podcast. The womb in which I emerged, my mummy, Lil Corey's BFF, and now former roommate Shane. They're still BFFs. They're just people. They've grown. They don't need a roommate anymore. That fed, twitch.tv/Corwinning. It's Corwin and everyone's favorite co-host from the Rom Complex and Formulaic. Well, that would mean it'd have to be Sam. No, I'm kidding. It's R2 Shelby 2 from twitch.tv/R2Shelby 2.
I was so excited. I was like, Sam is a $10 patron? Good for her.
I thought you were going to be like, I'm so excited. Sam is a co-host of Formulaic?
I mean, she's been on it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that's been us writing an episode of That 70s Show on another episode of Formulaic.
Oh, also, when people say, like, in America we trust, that's like, hey, a podcast in script writing. That's what, okay? Like,
Okay, but tell me about the womb in which I emerged.
Yeah.
You emerge from something. You don't emerge in something.
No, it's sound grammar.
Sound grammar.
Yeah. The grammar is sound.
You do grammar based on the way it sounds.
Oh, you're just dissecting everything now.
You're saying it's sound as in solid.
Yeah.
I'm telling you the womb in which I emerged is not solid.
Oh, no, but I'm saying the grammar is sound, like it's sound logic that I'm putting forth.
How are you emerging in a womb?
I was in the womb, and from which I emerged. From which? That's a different word, James. Oh, I wouldn't mind a from which. It's like a sandwich, but in me.
It's in you. Ooh.
Yeah, because it's from me.
Oh, no, that sounds like someone killed you and made you into a sandwich.
Oh, God, don't I wish. Hey, also, everyone listening to this, if I die, the funeral's happening in Chicago. I just want this to be my living will and testament. I was thinking of that recently. Maybe family would say, oh, well, it's got to be in Muskegon. Fuck that place. But you want to know what's fantastic? This podcast, let your friends know. Because in December, I want so many people listening so I can actually convince Nicole and Sam and R2 to write a full Christmas rom-com.
We're going to need some convincing. And James, I hope you don't die. If you do, I will go to your funeral in Chicago.
Okay, good. You better not have said Muskegon.
No way. I will fight for you. I want to touch the bean.
Yes.
This has been Formulaic.
Oh, but another cool thing is you could go real quick to Michigan's Adventure during the summertime in Muskegon, and you might see some titties flop out at the water park.
Okay, I'm glad you continued the episode for titties. We do love those.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Do you like my new wave?
Yeah.
Bye. This has been a Marshland Media
And OK Owl production.
produced by me, James McCollum.
And me, Shelby Sweeterman.
For more content, please visit mlmpod.com.
Or OKOwl.com.
And for the best way to support this podcast, please visit patreon.com/MLMpod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single week. Thank you very much for listening. Oh, yeah.